I am Suzanne Hito. I'm a revert to Islam. I was born and raised in a very small farming village about an hour west of Chicago, Illinois. Basically a village that had two churches, one Methodist, one Lutheran, and I was raised in the Lutheran Church, which is a very conservative branch of Protestantism.
When did you start questioning your beliefs?
The greatest questioning came when I went to university and started seeing people from other cultures, other religions. And I think the turning point was actually at Concordia, being a Christian-based university. We had to study the Bible in depth, meaning looking at each chapter, looking at the translation, where it's coming from, the Greek and the Latin. And I had an Old Testament class, meaning the older books of the Bible, basically the Torah section. And we came to a Bible verse that talks about covering and worship. And in the particular Bible verse, it says, before translation into modern English, it says a woman should cover when she worships. So I asked the professor, I said, how do we go from covering our heads when we worship to not having to cover? And he said, well, this is something old from the Bible, and we really don't have to do that anymore. I said, but if God says we need to cover when we worship, and Christianity believes that everything we do is worship, then why did we lose that habit of covering? And he said, I'll have to see you after class. So I got a little bit concerned, and I went to his office after class, and he told me, what are you doing? And I said, I'm asking questions. He said, there's no room in our religion to ask questions. You must believe that the Bible is the infallible word of God. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. And he honestly told me, if you cannot believe this, he said, the only place you'll find is hell. I said, excuse me? He said, yes. And then I knew that if we can't question and be logical about our religion, like Islam, then it wasn't right for me.
Why did you choose Islam to search?
It really started with that research paper in the world religion class. And the world religion class, we all had to pick a topic: Taoism, Buddhism, Baha'ism, Judaism. So every student picked something that they felt comfortable in. The choice that I made to research Islam really came because the care that I saw from the Muslims. I got a very cold answer from my religious professor when he told me, if you don't believe in the Bible, you'll go to hell. The Christian community was very ready to push me aside, tell me that I was a sinner, tell me that I was doing something wrong for questioning religion. But the reaction from Muslims, the Muslim friends and students that I knew, was completely different. They were accepting of me whether I was Christian or Muslim or anything. But when I told them that I was considering Islam or even just researching Islam, they were so welcoming, so helpful, and they said, make sure you're comfortable. Don't make any quick decisions. In the research process, I read an incredible book called The Bible, Quran, and Science. This book takes scientific fact and compares it to what's in the Bible and verses of the Quran. So it came from probably Surah Al-Alaq, talking about the creation, how biologically a drop becomes congealed blood, becomes bone surrounded by flesh. And this is given to us in the Quran. In the Bible, it's nowhere to be found. But the Quran so delicately explains this biological process that even, 150, 200 years ago, doctors were just discovering how this whole process occurs. That's something that you can't deny, that our Creator revealed to the believers this process when science was so far behind. So this was probably, at that point, I remember reading it. I had been newly married. When I read this in the book, I just started weeping, like tears would not stop. My husband, we were very newly married at the time. I called him and I said, I have to do this. And he's like, calm down, you're crying too much. What's the problem? And I said, I know I need to be a Muslim. And he said, wait a minute. He said, I've never done this before. I was born a Muslim. I don't know anything about this. He said, please call Sheikh Jamal. He said, tell him that you're ready, to make this decision. But he told me, please make sure. And I said, I need to make my Shahada tonight. And he said, simple. I said, what do you mean? I want something, like, what do I do? What do I do? He said, tell me. I said, what should I tell you? He said, say, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And I did. He said, okay, now you have to tell me in English so I can be sure that you know what it means. And so he said, repeat after me, and I did. And that was it. And I said, that's all I have to do to be Muslim? And he said, welcome to Islam.